Hello there and welcome. This is the News on Enter International, reaching you live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. My name is Justin Bemunye and my sign language interpreter is Anna Olayinka. First, let's look at the headlines. Veterans re-echo prioritization of ex-servicemen as Nigeria marks another Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day. President Tinubu congratulates Nigerian artists' success at 9th All-Africa Music Awards as Minister of Information hails Super Eagles' impressive outing at AFCON 2025. Plus, World Health Organization advises world leaders to unlock health taxes to save lives and improve revenue. Once again, I thank you so much for joining us. Now, it was a sight to behold at the National Arcade, Abuja, as Vice President Kashim Shettima represented President Tinubu to mark the 2026 Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports that the file passed in the laying of wreath by top government officials was the climax.
Vice President Kashim Shettima arrived at the National Arcade to honor the legacy of the fallen heroes who paid the ultimate sacrifice to ensure peace and security, then celebrating the living legends.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here live at the National Arcade for the year 2026 Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day Parade.
Prayers were offered for the repose of the souls of the deceased and for continued peace and security to prevail in the country.
Heavenly Father, we commit the President and all leaders of our nation, both civil and military, into your hands. Grant them wisdom, courage, and integrity to lead with justice, compassion, and accountability.
Implore, O Allah, to make paradise with Allah's abode and to continue to care for their family members, being their absolute guide into the right way.
O God, heal Nigeria. Heal our anger with understanding. Heal our divisions with one patriotic love.
Laying of wreath led by Vice President Kashim Shettima, Senate President and Deputy Speaker House of Representatives, Chief Justice of the Federation, Ministers, Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs, and the Inspector General of Police, among others. Firing of 3 volleys by the firing party and release of pigeons marked the end of the Remembrance Day, rounding the event off with national salutes. Though brief, less than an hour, but the memories will last long. From the National Arcade in Abuja, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Now the parades fade and the crowds disperse. Yet for veterans and the families of fallen heroes, remembrance is not a single day. Defense correspondent Olajide Bello reports on the enduring impact of this year's celebration and the promises that must outlast their applause.
The ceremonies have concluded, but the real story is just beginning.
It's not an easy thing, being a widow, taking care, playing the part of both mother and father.
Beyond the spectacle, what does this day truly mean for the veterans, fallen heroes, and families who live with its legacy every day? After the speeches and salutes, a critical question remains: what changes for those who served? For many Nigerian veterans, the days following the Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day bring a familiar quiet. Their homes become informal support networks where camaraderie and shared experience provide a crucial buffer against isolation and neglect.
Life is dynamic, change is constant. We have realized that we're only remembering all those who are passed on and forgetting those that are living. And that's what made it that it's critical. We celebrate those that are alive so that they know that their sweat is not forgotten. And then while we also remember those who are passed on, including those who are injured.
For others, the psychological wounds, the unseen scars of conflict persist long after the parades have ended, requiring support systems that are often stretched thin or inaccessible.
But we still have like some of our benefits, the one called group life insurance benefit, which they say it has been hanging with the Ministry of Defense. My husband died going to 10 years now. We have children in training, we have to feed, upkeep is there. That money has not been paid.
By the time this program is over, what next, which you have asked, is that there would be additional pool of resources to support families of foreign heroes, families of frontline serving officers. They are serving the nation. They are taking bullets.
Their post-service lives are a continuous testament to duty demanding a national commitment that must endure long after the last wreath is laid. Olajide Bello, NTA News.
And the House of Representatives reaffirms commitment to supporting policies, legislation and oversight that strengthen the welfare capacity and professionalism of the armed forces in the quest for a secure and peaceful Nigeria for all citizens. House spokesman Akin Rotimi, in a statement to mark this year's Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day, says the Green Chamber honors the gallantry, discipline and dedication of Nigeria's military personnel, particularly in confronting terrorism and banditry, as well as protecting Nigeria's territorial integrity. He acknowledges the resilience of serving military personnel across all theaters of operation and recognizes the enduring sacrifices of their families who share in the burden of national service. The House of Representatives joins all Nigerians in solemn remembrance and appreciation of the officers and men of the Nigerian Armed Forces who have paid the supreme price in defense of the nation's peace, unity and sovereignty. Now, as Nigerians reflect on the sacrifices of the Nigerian military and challenges facing families of fallen heroes, Akwa Ibom State Government is to provide 150 shops for widows of the fallen heroes. Governor Umo Eno, who announced this at the wreath laying ceremony to mark the 2026 Armed Forces Remembrance Day in Uyo, says the facility is coming with business grants for the widows. Clement Barikwi has details.
It is a yearly recognition of sacrifices of the men and women who laid down their lives for peace of Nigeria, and the 2026 celebration is coming at a time when the Nigerian Armed Forces are recording breakthroughs in the fight against banditry. Governor Umoeno calls for inter-religious tolerance in the country, insisting that Nigerians should show respect to the nation's servicemen, as this will encourage them to do more. He announced support to members of the Nigerian Legion and wives of the fallen heroes, including 100 lock-up shops for the military and 50 for the police and the paramilitary, which comes with business grants.
Let me thank President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for the decisive manner he's tackling the issues of security challenges in the country. We are all witnesses to the improvements in security all over the nation. And for this, we'll continue to thank our gallant men and officers of the armed forces, and of course other service units, for heeding to the call of the President to go after the terrorists wherever they may be hiding.
The symbolic laying of wreaths at the tomb of the unknown soldiers, 21-gun salutes and release of pigeons were major ways the fallen heroes were honored at the ceremony. Clement Barikui, NTA News.
Now, World Health Organization wants world leaders to unlock health taxes on sugary drinks and alcohol to save lives and raise revenue And this was at a virtual press briefing to unveil 2 new global reports on health taxes. The Director General, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, called on governments to significantly strengthen taxes on sugary drinks and alcoholic beverages, observing that sugary drinks and alcoholic beverages are getting cheaper due to consistently low tax rates in most countries, fueling obesity, diabetes, heart disease, cancers, and injuries, especially in children and young adults.
Countries have shown that when they're done right, they're a powerful tool for health. In the United Kingdom, a tax on sugary drinks introduced in 2018 reduced sugar consumption, generated £338 million in revenue in 2024 alone.
Now, the reports warn that weak tax systems are allowing harmful products to remain cheap, while health systems face mounting financial pressure from preventable, non-communicable diseases and injuries. Taxes, other speakers noted, are one of the strongest tools available for promoting health and preventing disease, stressing that by increasing taxes on these products, governments can reduce harmful consumption and unlock funds for vital health services. The WHO boss revealed that the combined global market for sugary drinks and alcoholic beverages generates billions of dollars in profit, fueling widespread consumption and corporate profit. Yet governments capture only a relatively small share of this value through health-motivated taxes, leaving societies to bear the long-term health and economic costs. Now, in a landmark event for space exploration, 4 astronauts from the International Space Station, ISS, safely landed in the Pacific Ocean early Thursday, marking the first medical evacuation in the orbital laboratory's 25-year history, according to NASA footage. Let's have details with Gloria Agbo.
NASA video showed the X-Space capsule touching down off the coast of San Diego at 12:41 a.m. local time, ending a shortened mission that had kept the crew in space for nearly 5 months. This return was ordered after a health issue affected one of the crew members, prompting NASA to cut the mission short. The space agency has declined to provide details about the medical concern, but emphasized that the situation was not an emergency. NASA official Rob Navier said the affected crew member was and remained in stable condition. The Crew 11 team had docked at the ISS in early August and was originally slated to remain until mid-February, when a replacement crew would arrive. However, NASA's Chief Health and Medical Officer, James Polk, explained that lingering risk and unresolved questions about the diagnosis prompted the expedite departure. NASA says medical evaluations are ongoing as the agency reviews the mission and prepares for the station's next crew rotation. Glory Agbo, NTA News.
Let's now go to Uganda, where polls have opened in the country's capital, Kampala, after major delays caused by a malfunctioning electronic voting system, as President Yoweri Museveni moves to extend his 4-decade grip on power. Again, let's have details with Gloria Agbo.
Voting began late in several parts of Kampala after authorities reported technical failures in the electronic voter verification system. Frustrated voters were seen waiting for hours as election officials scrambled to fix the problem.
The polling officials, they cannot tell us what's going on. They are just telling us that you have to pass through the biometric machines, of which the biometric machines are not working. So we don't know what's going on.
I don't know if it will be a fair hearing. That's it. For the indication that has been since morning, I'm so worried about that.
The voting takes place under tight security, with a heavy police presence across the city. Authorities have enforced an internet shutdown, cutting access to social media and messaging platforms, a move critics say is aimed at limiting opposition coordination and election monitoring. President Yoweri Museveni, now 81 years old, is seeking a 7th term in office. He has ruled Uganda for nearly 40 years and is widely expected to win, backed by firm control over state institutions and the security forces. However, opposition groups accuse the government of intimidation and repression, pointing to arrests, disrupted rallies, and restrictions on movement in the lead-up to polling day. Police say the measures are necessary to maintain law and order. As voting continues, attention is focused on whether the process will be allowed to proceed transparently and whether delays and security restrictions will affect turnout in the capital. Results are expected in the coming days as Uganda waits to see whether the long-serving leader will once again secure another term in power. Glory Agbo, NTA News.
Now, the figure of irregular Nigerian migrants has declined from about 9,000 to fewer than 5,000 following improved cooperation from the both countries. Ambassador of the Republic of Turkey to Nigeria, Mehmet Poroy, disclosed this during a strategic meeting with the chairman, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, Abike Dabiri-Erewa. While commending the Nigerian embassy for its collaboration, he hoped that a memorandum of understanding will further promote a mutually beneficial economic partnership with prospects for increased investment, enhanced technical cooperation and job creation. NIDCOM boss reiterated the importance of sustained collaboration when finalized to ensure prompt execution and tangible outcome. Now, civil society groups in commemorating the life and times of Martin Luther King Jr. are advocating need for political authorities in Africa and Nigeria to strive for a just society where the rich and the poor are given equal treatment. President of the Center for Social Legal Studies, Professor Yemi Akinse George, SAN, led other groups in a walk to mark the day in Abuja. Austin Anyebe reports.
Civil society groups in Nigeria stand with millions across the world to celebrate the life, legacy, and enduring moral force of Martin Luther King Jr., a man who proved that moral courage, discipline, non-violence, and unwavering faith in justice can move nations. Commemorating his day in Abuja, Professor Yemi Akinse George, senior advocate of Nigeria, says human rights can be enforced in a non-violent way, citing one of the quotes of Martin Luther King Jr., "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Professor Yemi says Nigeria today confronts challenges such as corruption, insecurity, weak institutions, delayed justice, and deepening inequality, which Martin Luther King Jr. believed that the response to these challenges must never be violence, despair, or cynicism.
As a human rights issue, we demand speedy trial of high-profile corruption cases, a situation where defendants who are undergoing corruption cases are allowed to stand for election and use the ill-gotten wealth to buy political offices should no longer be allowed.
They demand faithful implementation of the Supreme Court's decision on local government autonomy, speedy trial of high-profile corruption cases, and proper, transparent, and accountable management of confiscated assets, as well as the sustenance of the ongoing judicial reforms and international collaboration in the fight against terrorism and violent extremism.
The judiciary must take its rightful place as the defender of the rule of law and the protector of the human rights, and they must not be discouraged or disadvantaged in performing their responsibility.
They also demand urgent action to address the growing crisis of street children who are now visibly spreading across the Federal Capital Territory. The Center for Social-Legal Studies reaffirmed its unwavering commitment to justice sector reform through capacity building and strengthening justice administration. In Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
Now, from classroom ideas to everyday solutions, the federal government says research in Nigeria must now work for the people, creating jobs, growing businesses, and improving lives. That message was delivered by the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Dr. Kingsley Ude SAN, while receiving a delegation from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology's Co-Sharper Center for Prosperity and Entrepreneurship during a Kutsa visit.
And so you see people holding patent and doing nothing with it.
The minister said the government is closing the long-standing gap between research and industry, ensuring that innovation moves beyond papers and patents to products that drive economic growth. Under the market-driven strategy, research institutions will be aligned with the needs of the productive sector, unlocking commercial opportunities, creating jobs for young Nigerians, and expanding pathways out of poverty.
So in my time as minister, I would want to see that any entrepreneur, especially in innovation, science and technology, is supported all the way, as much as we can as a government. One word, there mustn't be financial. It could just be establishing linkages between the entrepreneur, the innovator, with institutions that would support across Africa, even globally.
The minister noted that the initiative is anchored in the National Science, Technology and Innovation Policy 2022, which positions science and innovation as critical tools for economic diversification and global competitiveness. He added that collaboration remains central to the plan, with government, universities, industries and the private sector working together within a unified innovation ecosystem.
A lot that we can do, each of you in your own forte, your own areas or space, connecting with the Federal Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, Nigeria.
And earlier, leader of the MIT delegation, Ms. Dina Sharif, said the visit was aimed at understanding Nigeria's innovation priorities and identifying opportunities to accelerate the commercialization of research through strategic partnerships.
We need to not just publish research and put it back in the shelves. We need to commercialize. We need to see entrepreneurship scale across Africa. We need to not lose our entrepreneurs to Silicon Valley or to Boston. We need to retain them here on the continent. We need to see a lot more collaboration across our ecosystems.
Now, the federal government and the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, IITA, have signed a partnership agreement focusing on soil health and fertilizer application support programs. Musa Babali reports that the aim is to boost production and help the country achieve food self-sufficiency.
In crop production, agronomists check the health of the soil based on its output and performance. They say that the healthier the soil, the better the output. Research shows that the soil in most farms is not healthy enough to produce the desired yield per hectare. Based on these findings, the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security and the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, IITA, are signing this MOU.
We aim to establish 774 soil testing laboratories through Nigeria's local government to bring this service as close to the farmers as possible. Provide tailored soil health cards for farmers, facilitating data-driven fertilizer recommendations. Promote sustainable agricultural practices, thereby enhancing increased crop yields and climate resilience.
This memorandum of understanding directly supports the Nigeria Farmers Soil Health Scheme and the continued development of Nigeria National Soil Information System, two foundations that help translate ambition into measurable outcomes on farms and across value chains.
The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, said the government is determined to improve soil health for food security.
The food security agenda of Mr. President is not only targeted at making food affordable and available, but also make sure that the food is nutritionally balanced and for good consumption.
Nigeria has joined the West Africa Regional Hub for the Fertilizer and Soil Health Initiative. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has congratulated Nigerian artists who emerged winners of the 9th edition of the All Africa Music Awards, AFRIMA, describing their success as clear proof that Nigeria's music and creative ecosystem continues to grow and gain global respect. The president praised the artists for making the country proud on a continental stage. He said their victories at AFRIMA show the strength, creativity and resilience of Nigeria's youths, as well as the country's growing influence in African and global music. And President Bola Tinubu has extended birthday greetings to Senator Abubakar Kyari, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, on his birthday. In a statement, President Tinubu describes Kyari as a distinguished statesman and public servant whose career has been defined by dedication to service, leadership and nation building. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has commended the Nigerian national team, Super Eagles, for representing Nigeria with pride and dignity at the ongoing AFCON. The minister in a statement said, even in defeat, the team has showed character, teamwork and resilience, and those qualities matter deeply to the nation they represent. This is where we end the news. Thank you so much for being a part of it. My name is Justin Bemunya. My sign language